T&A Chatter, I'm your host for the LT&A Chatter Project. Just give people a few seconds to realize that I'm live. I'm sorry that I'm live. I don't feel alive this morning. I have a headache and I have a sick 9-year-old. But that's life. So as you join the broadcast, just stop by, say hello. You know how we were taught. You need to address everybody already in the room. I've only had one cup of coffee this morning, and I've been up since roughly 5:30, so I'm not fully functional. I'm a coffeeholic, unrepentant, and not going to rehab for it. Okay, so let me lift my energy a little bit. Welcome to the LT&A Chatter Project. This is our government contracting up-level conversation. We discuss legislation, rules and regulations, and things that you will need as a contractor doing business in the government. I am your host. I am the founder of the LT&A Company, which is a government contracting consultant and training firm. We also do government contracts. I have worked in the industry, if you include my time in nonprofit, since the year 2000, so that's 21 years. I have worked time direct on project in as well as a compliance officer, performing audits with the DCAA, Department of Labor. I have also bid and won contracts as a contractor. So the knowledge that I share from the perspective of inside the industry. I am a contractor. I have worked within contracting. So there you go. This morning, I'm going to bring you a little bit of a rehash of a conversation I had Friday. I was a participant in a clubhouse room on Thursday evening and then again partially on Friday. And we discussed some rules of engagement. On Friday's installment of Chatter, I discussed some references, some resources every government contractor need to have on their shelf in their library. You cannot call yourself a contractor if you do not have these reference tools. I want to start off today with that conversation as a recap, and then I want to segue into something else. And it was a comment that I made as I departed the stage on Friday. And my pastor has a saying, and I've given him credit 3 times now, so I don't have to give him credit anymore. You don't go as far as your dream, you go as far as your team. And I want people to understand who comprises your team. Your team is your workforce, your employees, your consultants, your contractors. I want you to also understand your team also are your advisors. Every contractor should have a team of advisors that they can reach out to, that in times of trouble, in times of decision, when you're not quite sure that if what you're just trying to do walks the line within the rules and regulations of the industry. That's a part of your team. I'm not talking about a board of directors. I'm talking about a team of advisors. And there is a difference. I also want to talk about this. Far too often, people get into the industry and they don't understand that it has its own language. When you go into finance, finance has its own language. When you go into science, science has its own language. When you go into math, math has its language. Every industry has its own language that is unique to that industry. If you speak to somebody who speaks math, if you speak to somebody who speaks quantum physics, and you are not fully versed in that language, you will be lost and confused. It isn't their responsibility to whip out a dictionary. It is your responsibility to become familiar with the language and the wording that goes hand in hand within that industry. Government contracting has its own language. You have CAS, FAR, disclosure statements, compliance, just to name a few. Procurement, acquisitions, obligations, de-obligations, appropriations. These are the language of legislation. These are the language of regulations. These are the language of government contracting and government contractors. Respect the industry enough to become acquainted with the language that is commonplace within that industry. You cannot navigate with efficiency if you do not understand and utilize the language within it. We are, in essence, 10 days from the new fiscal year. Are you ready? Are you ready to take advantage of the new budget? And that budget number keeps changing every time I look at it. So I'm going to take a look at it today and go into some kind of detail on tomorrow. Are you ready to take advantage of it? Are you ready to go live and hit the ground running? We're in a day and an age. I have 4 coaches. One of my coaches loved the phrase "money loves speed," and you cannot take off in the fiscal year unless you have a strategy in place. Otherwise, you're going to spend a whole lot of time spinning, going in circles. Money loves speed. I have a pre-bid meeting Tuesday, and I have another one another day of the week because I'm hitting the ground running. Do you have a strategy? What is your contract mix? Are you going to do all federal or are you going to do all state? What is right for you? How are you going to handle the not yets you receive? How is that going to work for you? Who is going to be in charge of your business development? And if that is also going to be you, then who is going to be in charge of your proposal process? If you have a team of me, find me, and I understand when you're in the beginning, a lot of times you are it. Have you identified or have you put in place a mechanism to identify, recruit, and retain the assistance that you need? Because, honey, when the growth hits, it hits, and it hits hard, and it hits quickly. And you won't have time to get ready. You need to be ready. These are the questions that you need to be answering now. Respect the industry you're in. Respect your growth plan. Do you have one? Do you know where you want to be a year from now, 5 years from now? Do you understand the importance of knowing that? When you're growing a business and you're growing it with no direction, no map, I'm not even talking about a business plan. I'm just talking about a general idea of what this baby is going to look like when it's a year old, when it's toddling around, when it's in its teenage years, when it's a full-grown adult. It's hard to create a strategy when you don't know what you're strategizing for. And the thought process is that I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants. It's nice, but it delays progress. It's not even nice. I'm going to take that statement back. Hold on, let me get a cup another sip of coffee. It delays your process. It delays your progress when you do not have a full plan of action involved. I'm not saying any of this from a place of beratement, but I'm saying this from a place to have you think exactly what am I trying to grow? Am I focusing on certifications? And if you are, what are their purpose? Contrary to popular myth, a certification does not guarantee you a contract. All it does is guarantee you entrance to a contract pool. And what I mean by that is your certification makes you eligible for set aside. It makes you eligible or puts you in a classification where primes that have a small business requirement or small business goal have to then reach out to small businesses to do business with them. And with the new FAR clause, they actually have to give you word. So if they gave you 10% of the project, they actually have to give you 10% of the work, unless they can demonstrate that you were unable to perform. So while you're worried about the certification, can you perform? You can grow a small business into a multi-million-dollar government contracting company and never get certified. There are companies that do it every day and never have a certification, and they are not what they would call a privileged entity. It is possible, but what those entities have in common, what those entities have in place, is a strategy and a plan. For 10 days from the start of the fiscal year, we have a budget that's soon to be approved. You know, they're bickering back and forth over it. The fiscal conservatives are balking at the price tag. There's going to be some new regulations coming out that people are not going to like because we got to pay for this thing. And we haven't had an official budget since President Obama sat in the office. You know, once his first year was out, all we had were continuing resolutions. So this will be the first budget we've had in 12 years. But I said all that to say this. Most likely, this budget will get passed because there has been no talk of a continuing resolution. There's been talks exclusively of passing a budget. And with that being said, are you prepared for everything that's going to come along with this budget? That's the new opportunities and the new regulations. So join me November 1st. I'm doing a virtual summit. I'll be a power partner within the government. I'm bringing some of my power partners, and we're going to discuss this. I'm going to invite a couple of special guests. Registration page is up. LT&A Contractors Conversation. You'll see the registration page on Facebook, LinkedIn, and everywhere that you'll find my company information. But I just want you to stop and think for a moment. And then I want to invite you into a conversation with me around developing a strategy. I have strategy sessions available, 2-hour sessions. We can develop one key point of strategy for your company in time for the FY 2022 year. And with that, this is Luciana Turner. I'm your host for the LT&A Chatter Project. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m.